If you already know the mesmerizing story of Jewish convert to Catholicism Roy Schoeman, well, you're about to hear the supernatural part of his conversion story again. If you don't, you're in for a treat. His testimony many years ago on the Journey Home show on EWTN played a key role in my conversion to the faith. So when I heard that he was going to be speaking here in Front Royal, we had to be there. I never tire of hearing his story, but Schoeman has so much more to say to us now about living in times of crisis. And would you believe it? Roy says it's still a great time to be Catholic.
So I was in that despair, walking in nature early one morning when I received the most spectacular grace of my life. I was just lost in my thoughts when from one moment to the next, the veil between the physical world and the spiritual world disappeared. And I found myself in the presence of God, very knowingly in the presence of God, in a state of extremely intimate communion with God, communication with God.
Roy Schoeman has been sharing this story with spellbound audiences ever since the release of his 2004 book, Salvation is from the Jews. It happened at the peak of his professional life as a young Jewish professor at Harvard Business School, in despair, and God was the last thing on his mind.
I saw that absolutely everything that had ever happened to me had been the most perfect thing that could be arranged, coming from the hands of an all-knowing, all-loving God, not only including those things that I had thought of as the greatest disasters that had befallen me, but especially those things that had caused the most suffering.
1 year after that encounter with God, Roy's world was rocked once again.
Was woken by a hand gently on my shoulder and led to a room and left alone with the most beautiful young woman I could ever imagine. And I knew without being told that it was the Blessed Virgin Mary. The first thing she said to me was she offered to answer any questions I might have for her. So I asked her about 7 or 8 questions, which she graciously answered. And the next morning when I woke up, I knew that it had been Christ in that first experience. And I really knew who the Blessed Virgin Mary was.
Few converts to the Catholic faith have such spectacular mystical experiences, and with all the corruption, scandal, and outright heresy in the church, now might seem like an odd time to convert, but Roy says, come on in anyway.
Come on in because that's where God is. I mean, in other words, no one asked me where to put God. If he had left him in the temple in Jerusalem, maybe I would be happier, who knows? But it's where God is. It's where God is in the tabernacle. It's where he is in the sacraments. It's where he is in the teaching of the church. So if you want God, you may cut this out or not, but if you want God, just hold your nose and get into the Catholic Church.